I am honored to be here. I would like to thank my family who is here today and who have endured the times that this has taken me away from them and taken my energies away from them. And so I greatly appreciate their love and support. I did write out my comments in the hopes that I would be somewhat coherent and succinct, but I'm a little bit nervous, so please bear with me. We're called here today as believers in life and in our call and duty to protect life. When I was asked to speak, I accepted, but I honestly wondered why I was asked. What do I have to offer? I've pondered this question a lot for the weeks leading up to this event, and in some ways I'm still not sure of the answer, but I will share some thoughts on my journey and my experience in the hope that it can help all of us on this important mission. I am a family physician. My training includes care of the person in all phases of life, from conception through death, although at this time my practice does not include obstetrics. Although I felt called to medicine from a young age, I did not formally pursue it immediately. But it was in reflecting on what God wanted me to do with my life, with the abilities that He had given me, that I ultimately chose to pursue medicine. When things get tough, this is the anchor that keeps me going. Despite this good start, I've not always listened to what God calls me to do. And I do need to keep this in mind when my own children don't listen or do everything that I ask. For years, I shut out the acceptance of all of God's teachings. I acceded to the secular, keeping God in church on Sundays, and letting the secular be my guide outside of church. While I would always have said that I was anti-abortion, it's only recently that I feel I can truly call myself pro-life. So I think I'm here today as a witness. Today, I feel I can stand before you, before my family, my friends, my community, my children, and say that I am pro-life. I can say that as a member of the body of Christ, that I am willing to submit to His will and teachings in trying to conform my life, both privately and professionally, to the truth. I don't know how many of you read the Denver Catholic, formerly the Catholic Register, but in the January 25th, 2015 issue, Gina Warren wrote, "No longer was pro-life merely a cause for me to subscribe to. It became a spirituality by which to live, one that arises from the truth of the gospel. Pro-life is not just a matter of my mind anymore. It is an orientation of my heart." Those words really spoke directly to me. I believe that today we, in our culture, share the position of early Christians in Rome, in that we are marked by the differences of our choices, by our rejection of a society that is centered on personal pleasure and self-interest. And I think as we go forth, that requires more courage and fortitude on our part to take up that mantle and take it out of the church and into the street. As a physician, it's relatively easy to go to church, to belong to a faith community, and to sit quietly in the pew. It's harder to be public with my beliefs, although I now consider it a grace and a blessing to do so. And it does come with challenges, many of which are not the ones that I anticipated. For me, 40 Days for Life is a step along this journey. I'm not walking this road alone. There are a lot of helping hands. I think God has had to work harder to get my attention than I have to work to get the attention of my children when I want them to clean their rooms. Priests and pastors have nudged, led, and at times pushed me along the way. Friends and neighbors have made the call and opened doors. For instance, last fall, I received an email making me aware of and asking me to participate in a movement for abortion pill reversal. I would like to share some information with you on this and invite you to be participants as well. From Planned Parenthood's website, this is a quote: "Abortions are very common. In fact, 3 out of 10 women in the U.S. will have an abortion by the time they are 45 years old." This is the challenge that we face. There are 2 types of abortion offered through Planned Parenthood and other providers. There are procedural abortions, which involve mechanical removal of the child from the uterus. And there are medically induced abortions. The primary medication for this is mifepristone, also known as RU-486. I'd like to describe how a medical abortion is accomplished. The following information is quoted from the Information on Health Coverage from one of this country's larger medical insurance companies. The protocol that received FDA approval was 600 milligrams of mifepristone, followed in 48 hours by 400 micrograms of misoprostol. This resulted in a 92 to 97% success rate if taken within 49 days of the last menstrual period. Subsequent research has supported an effective alternative regimen using a lower dose of 200 milligrams of mifepristone, followed within 24 to 72 hours by 800 micrograms misoprostol administered vaginally within 69 days of last menstrual period. It goes on to read that this regimen is at least as effective, 97%, with fewer side effects and results in more rapid expulsion. About 80% of users still use the original regimen. In 2003, the World Health Organization recommends the following protocol for safe abortion: up to 9 completed weeks, 63 days since last menstrual period, 200 milligrams of mifepristone, followed after 36 to 48 hours by 800 micrograms vaginal misoprostol, or 400 micrograms oral misoprostol, used up to 49 days. Under the terms of the FDA approval, mifepristone will be distributed to physicians who can accurately determine the duration of a patient's pregnancy and detect an ectopic or tubal pregnancy. Physicians who prescribe mifepristone must also be able to provide surgical intervention in cases of incomplete abortion or severe bleeding, or they must make plans in advance to provide such care through others. The drug is not available in pharmacies. So I'd like to point out some things about these protocols. Note that despite the original approval, it has been extended later into pregnancy. Mifepristone is being administered, but at a lower dose than the original protocols. One of the reasons is that this reduces the unwanted side effects to the woman taking mifepristone, but it also increases the likelihood that mifepristone alone will not terminate the pregnancy. This is countered by giving a higher dose of misoprostol allowed earlier in the protocol, since the ultimate goal of those providing and seeking abortion is to remove the child from the womb. The status of that child is a secondary consideration. The RU-486 protocol, both as originally developed and as now practiced, creates a window in which, for the woman who has initiated a medical abortion, the child can still be saved and the pregnancy allowed to continue if that woman subsequently reconsiders her choice. Because mifepristone works as a progesterone blocker, the administration of adequate doses of progesterone as soon as possible after a woman has taken mifepristone may prevent termination of the pregnancy. The work on this was pioneered by a doctor in California, George Delgado. He and his staff have established a hotline for patients and are working to grow a network of physicians to be available to women in crisis. I'm now working with others to make the availability of this service, abortion pill reversal, a reality in our community. While we are making doctors aware of this and trying to grow the network of registered doctors, this cannot be a reality in our area without having ready access to the needed medication, laboratory services, ultrasound, and follow-up care to go with it. We also need to be able to provide these things regardless of a woman's ability to pay. Planned Parenthood, estimates the cost of providing a medical abortion to be $800. While I don't have a formal estimate of cost to provide abortion pill reversal, this gives a benchmark, and I believe that it can be less than this. To date, the abortion pill reversal hotline has received 727 calls from May of 2012 to now. Approximately a third of those calls are able to receive progesterone, and 55% are successful. 45% of those administered the abortion pill reversal fail. Some who get progesterone do re-abort, so they are not labeled as progesterone failures. There have been 80 healthy births and 54 women pregnant through these efforts. The initiative is maintained through a group, Culture of Life Family Services, which is a Catholic pro-life organization dedicated to preserving and protecting human life. They work with girls and women to provide them with the resources necessary to continue their pregnancies and deliver healthy babies. This includes assisting with adoption for the child if needed, and providing housing, medical benefits, counseling, and basic necessities to pregnant women who need it. Abortion pill reversal is just one part of creating a true culture of life for our community. There are other initiatives ongoing towards this end. As Father Rocco mentioned, it's not enough just to have the abortion pill reversal. One of the efforts is to establish a place for pregnant women in crisis to safely continue their pregnancies and care for their babies. In her article in Denver Catholic, Gina Warner quotes Pope Benedict XVI. "The ways of the Lord are not easy, but we are not created for an easy life, but for great things, for goodness." For me, true acceptance of pro-life as the orientation of my heart, as the spirituality by which I strive to live, is an ongoing source of profound changes in my life. It has affected not only my interior life, my family life, but also my professional life. One step in this was my desire to join the Catholic Medical Association, and the realization that I could not until I fully accepted and practiced the teachings of the Catholic Church, including those with regard to contraception. For some people here today, that is a separate issue, but I've come to know and understand how it is the root of the culture of life. I believe we will not succeed in establishing a culture of life in our communities and our society if we do not fully appreciate this. Without this understanding, I can honestly say I would not be here today. All of these things are meaningless unless I personally am willing to work for a change. So here I am. I'm not a hero for the cause, but I am one with all of you in working to save our children and our society. If you're interested in more information about abortion pill reversal, please leave your name and contact information. I did leave some sheets on the counter to the reception desk in the narthex. There are also sheets there if you would like more information about other movements that help promote the culture of life. We're striving to grow the network of services available in our community for women seeking alternatives for family planning and for health care, alternatives that are pro-life and part of the culture of life. This includes training practitioners and medical providers in natural family planning. The Creighton method, which was pioneered and is taught by Dr. Tom Hilgers in the Pope Paul VI Institute in Omaha, offers the advantage of being useful not only for meeting a woman and family's need with regard to fertility and family planning, but also for allowing diagnosis and management of women's health issues. If you're interested in more information on this, or in supporting scholarships for training more providers in our area and the Archdiocese of Denver, you can also contact me or leave your name and information today, and I will gladly contact you. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have with regards to anything that I've talked about or other questions that I might be able to help with.
Doctor, I saw that you're going to be talking at Theology on Tap, and that the topic is why you no longer prescribe birth control pills. Could you address that briefly for us?
I can. I believe it's on February 25th, so last Wednesday of the month, whichever date that is. I will be meeting with Theology on Tap to speak more about what I've alluded to here today, and that is church teaching on contraception and how I finally came to understand and accept that teaching and incorporate it into my medical practice. As far as I know, all are welcome.
Doctor, are you finding a resistance in the medical field here in Fort Collins to this reversal pill?
The question is on whether there's resistance in the medical community for abortion pill reversal. I would not call it resistance. This is a relatively new movement. I myself only became aware of it through the email of a friend. And so it's an education process. One of the great things about this is I believe that even providers who will not weigh in on the question of whether or not abortion is right or just should be willing to take the training and provide abortion pill reversal if they are truly pro-choice. Well, a woman who feels that, oh my heavens, this is not the choice that I want, they should be willing to reach out to her and to help her. There's a lot of logistics involved. Dr. Delgado has the advantage of the fact that he has his own clinics and he is doing obstetrics. So he has all of the equipment and resources in place, in one place, to provide the services. Because we don't have that right now, we have to make sure that the medications are readily available and they can't be got through the standard pharmacy. There has to be a place to keep them. There has to be a doctor available to provide them, as well as to provide the other services that go with this, including lab and ultrasound. So I think it's not resistance as much as a need for education. And the more we can put those basic things in place, I think the more ready other providers will be to participate in the effort.
Have you found an increase in patients that are on receiving because of your stance? I know I changed to you because of that. So has anybody ever said anything to you about the positivity of new patients?
I do see people who come to me precisely because of the availability of a pro-life physician, and also with the additional training, the availability of medical care to evaluate and treat women's health. One of the things that held me back for a long time is that standard medical training does not educate physicians on ways to approach women's health that don't involve the use of contraception and other tools. There's no orientation. NFP, if it's mentioned at all, is still frequently referred to in medical institutions as the rhythm method or the calendar method, which ignores the science behind several different options of natural family planning that are effective, safe, and respect the relationship between a man and a woman as God intended it. So yes, I do find that people are coming to speak with me specifically because of that stance.
Can you tell us what the statistics show that families, the couples that practice natural family planning, what statistics is the divorce rate?
I really didn't plant him in the audience.
Families that practice natural family planning, couples, what is the divorce rate?
These numbers may not be exact because I'm saying them off the top of my head. But for those couples who continue to practice natural family planning, the divorce rate is quite low. I believe that the estimates are that 96% of couples practicing it will remain in their marriages. If I'm slightly inaccurate in that, I apologize, but it is very high. There are also, and again, I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but there are many statistics which speak to the failed promise of abortion, and abortion being in this really an outgrowth of the contraceptive mentality. There were promises that there would be fewer deaths from abortions, that there would be, that with the availability of contraceptives, there would be less of a need for abortions because there would be fewer unwanted pregnancies. What the statistics show is exactly the opposite. The rise has been at an angle about like this. I don't know if from your perspective it's like that. When it's charted out. The statistics on depression, on other issues in women's health, on injury to women from abortion. It was supposed to be safer than pregnancy. And the statistic that I saw just this morning, I think shows that the rate of injury to women is 191% higher in women who undergo abortion procedures than in women carrying a pregnancy to term. So there have been a lot of consequences to us. So thank you all very much. I will be here throughout the conference if anybody would like to speak to me later. As I say, please feel free to leave your names on the sheets out there and I would gladly contact you.